This video is sponsored by Crimson Manifesto and Knuckles OX. Before we truly begin, you know the deal. Please subscribe, leave a like, and comment your thoughts since lots of you regular viewers don't get to. But before you enjoy the show, here's a little message from today's guest editor.
Hey guys, I'm Shaquille. I edited this video for Plus Ultraman. I have my own channel where I post my own what if content, so if you want to check that out after this video, feel free. Anyways, subscribe to Plus Ultraman, and I hope you enjoyed the video.
Goku, like Raditz, is of course shocked. Wanting to know exactly what the heck happened, Krillin has to pull him aside, apologizing for the shock and telling him that he needs to play along if they want to end things peacefully, simply cluing him in that they used the time chamber and now need to keep it a secret, lest it summon more bad guys that the Dragon Balls already have. Catching on, Goku agrees, just as impressed with all his friends' mental fortitude as he was at their game, feeling a bit warm and fuzzy as well as fired up for this reminder of how reliable they can all be. As this is done, Goku eagerly leans into the charade, playing up the effectiveness of that good old Turtle School training while nudging Raditz just forcefully enough to make sure he recognized that his little brother is now definitely stronger, as he reminds him that he put his best butt through a wall not long ago, and should probably make a priority of apologizing for it, since Krillin has always liked to get his payback. The monk sweat dropping and bluntly telling his pal he's putting it on a little thick, while Raditz does take a cautionary step back from the shorty, Weasley giving him that apology. Seeing this, Yajirobe lazily suggests Chaozu can release his psychic hold on the Saiyans now that everyone's on the same page, a sentiment Tenshinhan agrees with, nodding to the psychic, whom even with his eyes closed can sense it, going ahead and releasing the two Saiyan pods so they clatter to the lookout, jostling their riders and waking them up, even after they've been kept under after the cryofunction disengaged. Groggily, both see they are being looked down on by the locals, and so rise from their attack pods pridefully, ready to show them the error of their ways, only to slowly recognize them as the very Earthlings who'd been mowed down and bowed down to them, handing over the Dragon Balls. However, that's where things for them get hazy, and sensing this confusion and apprehension, Chaozu and Yamcha can't help but taunt the invaders, revealing their cruel joke. Growling, Nappa orders them to cram it, striding up as if he plans to do something, as Vegeta scoffs and checks the scouter. But it isn't the now widely suppressed powers of the Z-Fighters that shock him, but instead the abrupt halt that Nappa takes as he begins to grasp at his throat for air, being choked telekinetically by Chaozu as he doesn't break a sweat, while his weird energy actively messes with the scouter, mischievously making it malfunction and read his power level is lowering into the negative hundreds. Before Yamcha says none of that, flicking a super duper mini spirit ball the size of a glowing speck of the Saiyans that orbits their heads and destroys their scouters too quick before they can even read the rise in his power. Joining them, Krillin commends this smart thinking, stating he doesn't want that nasty boss of theirs Chaozu found about through mind reading listening in on this. Then confidently goes on to tell the Saiyans that if they need the scouters to back down, then he'd be happy to give them those silly numbers they love so much, thanks to Bulma and Yamcha fixing Raditz's scouter and disconnecting his microphone, as he states the power levels of all present. And not believing this, Vegeta scoffs and raises a finger gun to punch the human for this bluff, but only manages to put a ki blast through a convincing afterimage. The real Krillin suddenly appearing next to the prince and breaking the finger he decided to shoot with, leaving undeniable proof for all present as Vegeta is given a painful wake-up call. Though the moment of fear is a bit ruined, as Chaozu is still cruelly choking out Nappa, only releasing him when Tenshinhan asks him to, seeing the brute turn blue. With the tone concretely set, as the god of Earth backed by all these protectors, Kami haughtily puts on the air of a true deity, declaring since Raditz has been revived, they couldn't claim an eye for an eye anymore, and therefore could leave the planet with a small wind themselves, instead of blowing around their so-called dirtball planet as dust for all eternity, should they choose violence. Things having sunk in, Vegeta tries one last attempt to intimidate however he can, threatening that if they leave empty-handed and Lord Frieza learns of the caliber of planet this is, he'll more than certainly make it a high priority target, their warriors even stronger than they are at it. However, Krillin still uncaringly shoos them away, stating they aren't worried about that slime ball either, as if their knowledge of his power level is accurate. They already have two fighters far stronger than him, one of them not even being an adult yet. So speaking a bit tiredly, Krillin admits they were simply paying forward the lessons Goku helped them all learn, by not warring with the last of his people. It was kindness, not fear motivating this, something these muscleheads couldn't get. There is a long stunned silence following this from the space-traveling warriors, all trying to process this, until Goku finally does the math and blurts out that Krillin can't mean Gohan, can he? His friend breaking his serious tone for a moment only to smile at him, and claim that he'd be beyond proud of the young man his kid had become in only a short while. Hearing this, Goku excitedly asks where his boy is, apparently easily accepting the circumstances, which cause the Earthlings to all laugh as they point him to Mount Pauzio, seeing him dart off on the Nimbus. As he goes, Vegeta soldiering on through his hurting finger addresses Krillin, asking him his name, a welcome change of pace. So still speaking with some authority, Krillin answers with some introductions, as Vegeta questions how strong those other two warriors they spoke of are. Seeing no harm in giving the former invaders turned visitors more to consider about the Earth, Krillin smirks and gives them permission to follow Goku and find out for themselves. And with post-haste, Vegeta darts off after Kakarot to do just that. a still shell-shocked Nappa and Raditz reluctantly following them as they fly away. As they fly away, freeing him to begin focusing on his goal of surpassing Krillin and regaining the title of strongest Earthling again, Tien asks Krillin if he's sure about this mercy, and Krillin just says he is, reminding they didn't do all this just to take their opponents out without a second thought, like some of the bad guys in their past or this Frieza guy the Saiyans weren't gonna would. Clarifying that Goku was originally meant to do the same as them, and that he'd do just this if in their position. As long as they keep an eye on them and don't let them onto the secret of the time chamber, things should be alright. A sentiment Kami agrees with, but also reminds her this Frieza character could still pose some form of threat. However, if the Saiyans persisted on the planet peacefully as he felt they were slowly becoming inclined to do, then they may gain vital information in negating that threat as well. Thus, he encourages them all to enjoy the peace they've earned, but to remain vigilant and diligent in case there is a need of them. Well, right now, he was cooking up an idea that could possibly help with this new Saiyan Reformation project and draw attention away from the time chamber all in one. And thus, Krillin returns to Kame House, the duo of Chiaotzu and Ten Shinhan return to their nomadic training, while surprisingly, Yajirobe goes to say farewell to Korin. His time at the chamber helping him recognize how stagnant he's become, and thus how grateful he is to the master for hosting him. With this also seeing him join up with Ten Shinhan and Chiaotzu on occasion. While finally, with his slightly more matured personality and a reformed connection, Yamcha returns to Capsule Corp to rendezvous with Bulma. Meanwhile, as Vegeta had already been forced to slow down, catching up with Goku and the Nimbus, Raditz and Nappa also catch up, the older Saiyan noting, and this time lightly teasing the younger wild-haired one must have received a Zenkai after being returned to life. Here, over the course of the flight, Vegeta turns on Goku and Raditz, demanding them to clarify something about Gohan he heard over the scouters. The idea that he was able to drastically increase and decrease his battle power through bursts of rage or intense emotion, and suddenly he begins to hypothesize that the Super Saiyan had been locked behind hybridization of the Saiyans this whole time, or maybe it was something specific about the environment of Earth. This causes everyone to ask about Super Saiyan. As Nappa fails to word the concept well, Vegeta gives his version of the legend, somewhat scaring Goku that his child may not be the sweet and innocent boy he left only a year ago. Somewhat fearfully, he zooms off the Nimbus at top speed, even turning on the Kaioken as a shocked Vegeta bursts after him, claiming he wants to see the legend for himself, the sentiment mirrored by his lackeys. Soon landing outside Goku's home, the Saiyans all remark how quaint and peaceful the area is, seemingly still unbelieving the legend came true in this environment. Before they can make their presence known, Piccolo calls out to them, suddenly visible meditating atop Goku's house, as he smirks and greets him. Cockily stating that he took so long, Piccolo went to the trouble of raising his son in his stead and protecting the Earth by taking it under his dominion. But before he can continue his tirade, a pot suddenly flies and smacks Piccolo in the head, as Chi-Chi sticks her head out the window and yells that she's told the demon no loud noises between 8 AM and 12 PM, or he'll interrupt Gohan's studying. She then sees Goku and dodges from the window, tackle hugging him and expressing her happiness to have him back. Noticing the others, she states she doesn't want to feed his weird friends the day he gets back before they even have any alone time. While Piccolo points out that these must be the Saiyans, and that Raditz is the murderous brother that the matriarch was told about. Thus, Raditz is also at the Chi-Chi's pot, a few good times actually, until the pot no longer resembles such, causing Vegeta and Nappa to laugh hysterically in a much needed moment of brevity, before they end up sharing the same fate, forcing them to demand to know who this wench thinks she is, and for Chi-Chi to angrily declare herself as the owner of this home, wife of the world's strongest man son Goku, something Piccolo quietly scoffs at, and mother to a young boy currently trying to study, so the ruffians better keep it down. Goku, happy to see Chi-Chi as her usual self, reasonably assumes that Gohan too must be just fine. A large weight lifting off his shoulders and concerns to both him and Piccolo, as he could already sense a lot less cruelty in the demon's now immense ki. Hearing this concern, Chi-Chi confirms that everything with Gohan and the Earth is just fine, though she angrily states he is a bit more mature than she'd like to see so fast and all out of her sight, glaring at Piccolo for stealing a year with her baby boy. Happy that he can wave Vegeta's silly legend off as just a story, Goku thinks about trying to console Chi-Chi about the use of the time chamber, but Piccolo telepathically reminds him not to, making sure the Saiyans don't have any chance to learn of it. Instead, Goku easily covers, and asks if Chi-Chi wouldn't mind if they interrupted Gohan for only a short while, citing both his wanting to see him after so long away, and somewhat bragging that Saiyan royalty was even wanting to meet him as well, as he indicates Vegeta. This makes Chi-Chi relent, but she allows for only 10 minutes as Gohan needs to catch up on his studies, and now that he has the time to do so, she ain't giving it up. So awkwardly, the Saiyans go to Gohan's room and catch up with him, finding that along with being nearly as happy-go-lucky as his dad, he's very calm, kind, and confident, resembling the version of him we wouldn't see until the Android saga in canon. And these traits leave Vegeta suddenly unbelieving that he could be the Super Saiyan, while Goku remarks that though he's only a little bit older, he can tell he got way stronger, guessing the kid is still suppressing his power. Gohan admits to this being the case, stating it would only cause damage if he actually showed off, but needing proof, Vegeta challenges the boy to a fight. but this just causes Gohan to sweat drop at the unnecessary violence, inadvertently making a backhanded statement that he knows he's far stronger than Vegeta, and that it isn't his fault the adult can't sense energy, so why should they fight just for Vegeta to learn the obvious? Vegeta fumes, but Goku tries to calm him, reminding the Saiyan that he's already on thin ice, with a bunch of strong guys waiting to kick him off the planet. Besides, if need be, he's more than willing to challenge the prince himself, and even if he lost, Piccolo was outside just itching to crack some heads. However, using his own wisdom and feeling some pride, Raditz suggests they just arm wrestle then. That way they don't have to fight, and it'll still offer a contest of strength to back his nephew's claims. Gohan agrees to this idea, saying it even sounds like fun, as he hops out of his chair, suddenly going stiff and asking if his uncle means to hurt him again, since if so, he'll have to beat him up, causing Raditz to actually give a pretty genuine refusal of ever wanting to cross the kid again, as he had already hurt him pretty badly before all this, so now he's honestly just kinda proud and curious about his family. And so the Saiyans all run outside and pass Chi-Chi, who is grumbling as she begins making lunch, assuming they're having guests. Laying across the ground eagerly, Gohan encourages Vegeta to come at him arm wrestle style, and though feeling a bit demeaned, the prince does so. However, even when exerting his full power and shaking the planet with it, Vegeta simply cannot make this child's arm budge. He tries and tries, straining for more than a full minute, while Gohan childishly can't help but play up the gag, causing his father and the other Saiyans to crack up, which only angers Vegeta and makes him try harder, until he is red in the face and drenched in sweat, while Gohan still just holds frame. Incensed, Vegeta orders the other Saiyans to help him, but this remains to be true, as Gohan gently begins to push the 4 adult Saiyans' arms into submission, all still without any visible effort. But seeing this, Piccolo asks him to make it clear, and give them about a 1% taste of his power, so it really sinks in. Gohan shrugs her trust in his master, gently pushing back against the 4 palms trying to outpower him. This small gesture being enough to fling all 4 flying away from the mountain and force them to right themselves in the air, all just as shocked as Vegeta shudders in horrific realization, knowing he couldn't exert that kind of power even as a great ape. As they land, Gohan says that was fun, and with some probing, he happily does the math to give them hard figures, stating he's easily 1,000 times stronger than Vegeta, which makes him about 6,000 times stronger than Nappa and about 9,000 times stronger than Raditz. So he really hopes they can all be friendly and won't have to fight, while his mom waves the stopwatch out the door and tells him it's time to finish his studies for the day, as lunch will be ready soon, leaving Vegeta with his proof and a profound sense that the undeniable truth is Earth's culture should be embraced if it leads to success against Frieza's vicious empire. His path to freedom has been clearly laid out by these people they look down on for their mercy prevailing over their wrath. After this, Piccolo brags a bit more, partially so the Saiyans know they're beat and think that it's all natural, seeing as how they only really admire strength. With this scene, the alien trio suddenly agreeing to give up their invasion of Earth, as in the case of Vegeta, it's more than obvious he will need some time to process all this. And so, it is a much more somber prince who ends up sitting and breaking bread at Son Goku's table, a silent pledge being made at this moment, as for better or worse, they all seemingly share the responsibility of preserving what's left of the Saiyan race. From here, each Saiyan explores Earth a bit tentatively, their curiosity seeing them scour the world for some way to gain the same strength of the Z Fighters, or the Dragon Ball's alternative. However, this is quickly thwarted, as Yamcha and Bulma had already seen about gathering the dormant wish orbs as insurance. So with these journeys of fruitless venture, they inevitably all end up with different mentors and guides to facilitate their integration to the Earth, as Nappa ends up running back into Tenshinhan and Chaozu, while Raditz chooses to trace his little brother's steps, finding his way back to Kame House and requesting to join the Turtle School, while finally, the distraught Vegeta had been tailed by Piccolo for a while, interestingly leading to the duo forming a begun respect as they can recognize some form of kindredness in the other spirits, and both have a little something to gain through playing nice. Vegeta and his crew know more about Piccolo's origins than even Kami does, allowing him to learn of the Namekians a lot earlier, as Vegeta is intrigued by Piccolo's boast of training, whom he recognizes as the Super Saiyan, his wounded pride allowing him to boldly ask the Namekian to do it again, since now that he knows of his people, they should put their focus into preparing to intercept Frieza should he turn his attention to their planet just as they are likely doing for the Earth. As this is happening, King Kai listens in, and since it worked so well last time, he decides to counsel with Kami, declaring he'll do his best to keep an eye on the Namekian since the Earth was doing that for the Saiyans. However, as he finds him busy at this moment, he has to ask what he and Popo are currently working on. The old Namekian smugly claiming it as another useful tool of his lookout, one he once saw as far less valuable than the time chamber, but now with this changed perspective, he thinks it may be just the key they need to help their guests gain new perspectives as well, and a more righteous strength, something he calls the pendulum rule. But this is where we'll be leaving this story off for right now. Well, that does for part 2. I'm a little later on getting this out than I wanted to, but as you can see, I'm already getting pieces of art made for the series, so I hope you guys know it means a lot that you smash last part's like goal so thoroughly. I think I can do the rest of the series mostly as a mini-series basically, but both very fast and without doing anything too super duper special to make it be too expensive on me in the long run, so it should be really easy to get out from now on. while of course most importantly still presenting a fun little alternate universe for us to explore, as I imagine this will be among one of the strongest universes I've made in What If's, at least Dragon Ball, based. We still definitely have a lot of fun story to tell, and I hope to do so since we'll definitely be using more gameplay footage from say like BT3 soon, which I'm excited for because it's probably going to have a really good usage coming up in the store if you do remember what the Pendulum Room does. So big shout outs to Shaquille again for coming through to edit. Please go check him out and show some love, and especially big shout outs to you, the supporters of the channel in the forms of patrons and members. Pizza15X, Aaron Winters, Normandy1998, Shao Pai, Coder SV3, Ronan Charizard, Daniel Smith, Drax, Dylan Wolfdog 31, Infernate Beast 326, Jay Ray, Johnny, Narku, Omar Cousin, Snow Memes and more, Stephen Norton, Taryn, The Shadows, Vegeta What Ifs, Elementor, B, Blood Down, Lyman Rogers, Omar Muhammad, Aiko, Tay, Inebriated, John Sullivan, Trent Rouse, Dark Shadows, Pokemon Trainer Cam, River Joy, Elijah Edwards, Mr. Hamtastic, Jesus is King, Half an Onion, David Spalding, Lil T 910, Flyerbee, Joseph Lau, Blaze 9526, Trainer Rad 164, Luca Reynolds, Baron Stormblade, Panda Walk 301, Ono, Chris Macriano, Lily, Simroth, Red Violet, DeAndre, Gerald Smith, Luxu, John Self, Jacob Whitaker, Massive Oak Wood Tree, Demon Set, True Trade, Dutch McGee 101, Bruce Boswick, Robert Ostergaard, Craig Scheiman, Jalman, King Music FR, Ballcore, Zach Eubanks, Crab Trooper 4552, NBA Fan, and Courtney Hawkins. Thank you guys so much for your direct support, as it means a ton and helps the channel a lot more than anything else you can do. With that said, be sure to take care of yourselves and the world around you, and as always, go beyond plus ultra. And I'll see you guys next time.